Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming podcast. I'm your host, Ben, and with me as always are my co-hosts. What's up, guys?
Oh, not much. It's Matt hanging out.
What up? It's Andrew.
Andrew is, doing a champion's effort, being here when he's got the COVID. Oh no, he's got the COVID-19. But we're
What's the variant we're on now? BA.
It's my flu game.
Yeah. I don't know.
BA95.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sounds
I thought
like a fucking
BA.5.
the last one I paid attention to was Omicron, but
yeah. Well, that was just because that's fucking Transformer.
Yeah, that's
the Omicron activate.
That's the only one that was the last one that I let enter my brain because it's just like can't.
Yeah, because now we've entered the category of names that are just like fucking sports games from the 90s.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like BA95 baseball. Yeah, it's a baseball.
But everybody at home, send Andrew your spirit energy for just quick recovery. Yeah, we're doing the spirit bomb. But yeah, we appreciate you making the effort to join us.
Andrew spending the 7 days of quarantining and whatever that goes into the restrictions wherever you are, just absolutely screaming and powering up like Goku.
Yeah, I have a question though, Andrew.
Wait, I'm supposed to quarantine?
What? Huh? But I had a question, Andrew, before we jump into things, because again, off the bat, I'm heated, so I'm turning the temperature down just a little bit. I am interested. Have you been feeling well enough to be playing any games? Have you been getting anything making any progress, or has it really laid you low?
No, this is how I know I'm actually sick. I haven't wanted to game at all. That's just too much brain activity.
Yep, sure.
Even Guardians, I couldn't bring myself to play.
Dude, when I had COVID, I couldn't play Elden Ring, and that was at the peak of when I was playing Elden Ring.
Yeah,
I was just like a zombie.
No, yeah, there's no Elden Ring for me at the moment.
Literally, folks, COVID doesn't make you a zombie.
I was gonna recommend is because I've just been pushing hard on this game here, but not to say that it's like an easy game or it doesn't make you think, but it's just like mechanics wise, it's not a lot at all. But so you should try maybe playing Citizen Sleeper on Switch if you feel up to it, because it's mainly just a visual novel. You're basically just reading, with it's like plugging in dice to different stuff. I mean, there is thinking involved with having to do manage like your resource management and that level of the sim part of it, but it's laid back. I remember it was like when I was so I didn't have COVID, but when I was again, we've talked about it on the pod, I had Lyme disease a month or two ago and was just dealing with super fatigue and similar brain fog and that kind of stuff. And when I was just barely functional and alive, that was what I was playing, because it was just something that it was just enough to distract me, but it wasn't so taxing on me. And it's a great story and good politics.
I'll have to check that out.
And it is on Switch, so you can play it in bed.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I'm only playing me a visual novel. If there's an anime girl who's doing woes and we're on dates.
Yeah, we know. We and the listeners at home know this about you by now.
I'm gonna be the friend in the group that you guys are gonna accidentally add one of those to your wish list, and it seems like one of your friends has this in their library. And you're like, what?
Oh no. Yeah, it's like yeah. That's the one thing I don't like about Steam, is that it's I don't like the social aspect of it. It's just that people can people can see what game I'm playing and when I'm playing it and for how long. It's just no, I want to keep those things private, please.
3 of your friends have this game on their wish list. 2 of your friends own this game. I do like that feature.
Sure. Yeah, and for here with the comrades, we're all about that solidarity. So it's I guess there is a silver lining there. But okay, are we ready to jump into it? Because again, first ticket item of the day again is what's got me heated. It's my heated gaming moment of the week. When we were I went through this roller coaster of emotion when the release came out and the list of all these things involved. I was so excited. I'm like, oh man, this looks so cool. I might actually, first one of
and
these.
then I shattered the glass.
And it's just like, as I was looking more into it now, I'm just like, wait, hold up. So it's here. It's finally here, boys and girls and non-binary pals. God of War Ragnarok has a release date. The Mad Lads are, they didn't actually take the Starfield release date. They did one better. They're beating.
They beat it. They took the Starfield week and they beat it by 2 days.
Yeah, they're saying like, because it's like it's their way of
Odin's Day.
Yeah, it's their way of like, kind of, a wink and a smirk. It's like we're, like you can't actually call us petty bitches for taking your date, but like, we did it.
Yeah.
Just know that if you released when you said you would, we still would have beat you to the punch.
Yeah, but like part of me totally thinks though, that they waited, that they definitely waited. They knew that Starfield was gonna, was not going to make it. So they're like, okay, let's wait for them to delay. Let's let things cool down a little bit about that. And then boom, we're going to pounce. So I think
because if they'd announced the date, there's no way Bethesda would have been allowed to delay.
Yeah, absolutely. No way. But yeah, so the launch announcement came out with a pretty lengthy blog post on, PlayStation blog. I was texting the boys. It was funny. It was like they had a new trailer, the father and son trailer, a CG trailer, and I'm like, oh man, yeah, it's a CG trailer, but it looks cool. And I'm like, maybe I am just a Sony pony after all. Just like I don't need to see the gameplay. Just give me the CG goodness.
I mean, we know the gameplay. We know how God of War plays.
No, I know. But it's just like me getting excited about a CG trailer after everything I said is like, wow, maybe I am a hypocrite after all.
I don't know, man. When that wolf came on screen and like shocker, I'm gonna say that's Fenrir.
Oh yeah,
I'm not gonna spoil anything else about why that's like interesting in the relation of what's going on.
Oh come on, he's the wolf of the apocalypse. It's the title. It's in the title. It's Ragnarok.
Well, there's also implications among like boy and relation.
Right. True.
Yeah.
I mean, again, the original God of War has been out long enough. You don't have to worry about.
I know. I could probably. I mean, we've all played it too, right? That's the
here on the channel. Kicker. Yeah, we've played it. Yeah, we've all played it.
Absolutely.
So like, I was the last one. To play it.
Obviously, Wolf Fenrir being Loki's child in Norse mythology will be interesting to see how that plays out.
Right.
Because the other parent, I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but she was the one who in the first trailer people lost their mind about. Yeah, she was a black girl.
She's black, yeah. Because people
and they were like, "Rah, anger."
No, I saw a great meme about that. It's like, yeah, it's like Anger Boda, I think is her name. I forget if I probably fucked that up.
Several Western tongue.
Angaraboa or Angaraboda.
Yeah. If you say it, it's right.
But people are like, yeah, people getting pissed because not mythologically accurate, and then they have side by side with Thor. People getting pissed because mythologically accurate. So again, it's like God of War,
fat Thor.
Beautiful.
Yeah, God of War fans can fucking eat shit. We love this game, but like
by the way, the people who harassed, I said it yesterday on yesterday's first Friday live pod type deal, the Uncut Comrades. Check it out Fridays where you get your Twitch streams at
absolutely
campaign_comrades. But I said it yesterday, if you were harassing the Santa Monica devs over this release date, you don't deserve the game. Like, you don't deserve to get to play the game when everyone else gets it. You should get it like a year later.
I think we talked about this last week too, but yeah, it goes without saying again. It's like the people were sending unsolicited dick pics to one of the female thematic leads on the development team.
And the problem is just that they got the release date, so now they feel rewarded. And I want to.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think we mentioned it in conjunction with the Monkey Island harassment. I'm sorry, Andrew, you were saying something.
No, just when did like harassing and being annoying become a successful tactic? I just like, who learns that? Your parents need to just take things from you, I guess, when you're growing up. Like,
it's because I mean,
back in my day, that wouldn't have worked.
Like, it has something to do with just like the twisted nature of fandom. It's like
Well, I also think So the whole like
Yeah,
mob
for
mentality
sure.
thing, like
you're
people
rewarded.
together do things that they individually wouldn't do themselves.
Sure.
You get sort of that mentality on the internet where you get people whipping themselves up into like
Well, you get
caricatures
it's like
of
you do get rewarded in the sense of like this sense of belonging to that kind of mob by making every bit of your personality about being part of this fandom. That's why I say that's why fandoms as a whole are incredibly toxic. They are a symptomatic relationship or a symptomatic response. No, I was saying it is a symptom, a response to our alienated culture. Is what I was saying. It's like we've talked about this, I think, in previous episodes too. It's like that's why fandom exists.
We have community elsewhere.
Yeah, it's the only.
No, you don't understand. My
That.
fandom community is the good one. We're good people.
Mhm.
Just by if you say that, you're part of the issue. You just don't see it.
Yeah, but that's the reason say why fandoms are just so incredibly toxic to begin with. But all right, so but now we're getting into what I'm actually heated about, and it's basic consumerist bullshit. I get that, but like still, I'm so fucking mad at this. So they after they have the release date, the trailer, do this unboxing stuff of the different collectors the levels of the collectors special editions. So we've got a regular you've got the base, you've got a standard launch day game, you've got a physical somewhat enhanced edition of the game itself that comes with some preloaded DLC.
It's the digital
stuff.
and regular deluxe edition.
Yeah, you get some armor that gets unlocked a little bit earlier. Then you've got the collector's edition, and here I'll run down what comes in that one. You get all the digital content from the deluxe edition plus some physical items, which include a 16-inch replica of Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, a steelbook display case, and we're going to come back to that. 2-inch Vanir twins carvings that are based off of Atreus's toys, and a dwarven dice set, and it's all packed together in the Knowledge Keeper's Shrine collector's box. Then we have the tippity top tier, the Jotnar edition. Comes with even more in the Knowledge Keeper's Shrine. So on top of all that content, the digital stuff, all the stuff from the collector's edition, there's also a Yggdrasil cloth map, which apparently has some cool Easter eggs littered into it.
I'm sure.
Some stuff about the plot that's going to be coming in. People were trying to dissect that. Cool. So a legendary Dropner ring that you can actually wear. A 7-inch vinyl record that's got like 2 songs, I think, on it. But then a Falcon, Bear, and Wolf pin set, and then the Dwarven dice set is replaced by the Brock dice set. Me being a tabletop gamer, it was the dice that really,
Oh, absolutely. They look like nice dice too.
Yeah, totally. They have like this like kind of cool wood appearance.
Yeah, the dice are cool.
I'm assuming they are metal though.
I mean, I just want to hold Mjolnir and see if I'm worthy.
But then we get to this is the bit that I was like, oh man, like I've never gotten one of these special editions. We're doing things like, we're becoming quote unquote professional streamers. I need to build up my shelf of physical tchotchkes to have displayed in the back to prove that I'm a real gamer. I gotta spruce up my
to prove I'm a real gamer. I just print out all of my band notifications from my email. Yeah, you hang them on the wall.
Wear those as badge of pride. But then so I'm looking at these. I'm like, okay, man, like none of these have ever gotten me. Like I think I may have to do it. Just the hammer's cool, but cool to like prop that up, have that in the back. But then I'm looking further into it. I like some of the steel bookcases. Like I've started getting some of those. Like I really like the one that came with the Lego Star Wars one. It's just Lego Han Solo and Carbonite. So have enjoyed those. But then okay, both these editions have these display steel boxes for a physical game, and then I'm looking as like, wait a second, there's something missing here in these descriptions of what's included here. Where's the game itself? Wouldn't you think that you would get a physical disc copy of the game to put in your display case? or else like why I'd be like, what am I missing here?
So-
It's like, why would you have the empty case that's displaying nothing? Like, what's going on? I feel like I'm having a fucking brain aneurysm. Like, but no, they only come with fucking digital codes. That's all you get. Yep. So I mean, man,
yeah, that's bullshit.
it was just such a roller coaster for me. I'm like, oh man, I think I may shell out the, because these editions are going to be like 200 minimum, like absolutely minimum,
and they'll be on eBay afterwards for like $400-$500.
Yeah, so it's like, so you're already
and it
looking
won't
at,
even come with the steelbook.
Yeah, you're putting out like a ridiculous amount of money for something like this. But I'm like, oh man, like I could actually see myself, say, using the dice, having actually maybe have a reason, a purpose for having some of the the other physical stuff. But then it's just like, the display, the steel book with no physical game really fucking pissed me off. And then here's the other kicker, because you have like you could pre-order the digital version from the PlayStation Store on your PS4 or PS5. You can do that. You can pre-order it, preload it, so that game, or day of, it's got some pre-downloading to do, or you can set it up so that it downloads like in the middle of the night. Yeah, you're going to have to do day one patch. You're going to do all that. But with these editions, you can't even do that. You have to wait.
You have to wait till the box gets to your door so you can access your download code.
Because it's like you have to use something physical, but it's just a physical string of numbers that you've got to punch in to get your code.
It's a little slip. Sometimes in the past they've handled it where they email you the digital download code.
Not with this one. Time.
Yeah, I know, but like that's how sometimes it's been handled.
That's
this whole
bullshit.
situation, this is just how Sony has decided. Because they did this with Horizon Forbidden West. I said this in the group chat.
Yeah.
This is their solution to, we sell a PS5 without a disc now, and we still want those people to buy collector's editions, because this is definitely a place that you can make some good money on top of just the sale of the game itself. And their solution was, we'll sell them.
Fuck them for not including both.
Well, it becomes, I think the best solution would be to offer the option when you order it, like select physical or digital, and then they send you one. I feel like that would be the best solution.
I was seeing something, they're like, oh, but that creates too much problems with logistics and with supply chain issues. I'm like, that doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I mean, like, what I understand now is that like it's these bits here that like the stats are showing that physical game sales are becoming ever more of a niche thing in its own right. That digital sales are even for people with, say, the disc option, because say like the disc version.
The disc option still dominates the
sales,
the shares of PS5.
Yeah,
but that's also because the disc option is the more readily available of the two models. It's the same thing like with the Xboxes, like the Series S is the more readily available, so that one's probably the one that's sold more compared to the X. This is the same thing but opposite, where the more expensive model is the one that become more.
So then we have something here that says like per Sony's latest earnings report shows that 66% of game sales in the last year have been from digital downloads rather than discs. So that's
I'd like to know
43 from the previous year.
I'd like to know if they're including the PS Plus downloads in that number, the monthly PS Plus games you got for free. I'm just curious if they include that in the digital download.
Yeah,
SKU.
they could be doing something like that.
And like, I'm not saying that that's a huge portion, but like that is a like consistent portion.
And this is something that really pisses me off, because it is with what we're talking about in terms of you got to wait till you actually get the physical thing, and then you're reliant upon the quality of your internet connection. That could, if you don't have like high speed internet, that could take like a day and a half to fucking download. It's like these games are fucking huge.
And have they specified that you won't get the package until release date?
You're not going to get it day of. You're not going to get those day of.
You could get those day of. They were day of with Horizon.
I mean, I would be surprised if you can, because because they're pre-orders from Sony. Because they're pre-orders from Sony. They don't have a physical storefront.
That's the thing.
I
Well,
can't
that
go.
actually
It's
kind
like,
of helps
you know, it's like,
in the
but I can't.
logistics of shipping.
But I'm saying, but those, I don't
the
think
one
those.
thing there.
Sorry, you go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, no. The one thing there, though, I was saying is because it's digital, they could send it early. Like you could get it before the release date because it's still not going to be live in the store. So even if you have that digital
Right.
code
I
ahead
mean,
of
it's the same
time,
thing when
it
you get
won't
a
let you
physical
play the
disc. You
game
still
early,
can't play a
as if they were
physical disc early.
shipping with a physical.
Yeah.
Because like with the physical disc, you still need to download the game and authenticate the license.
Right.
The thing that my whole thing with physical discs versus the digital is, technically speaking, if I have no internet connection and I put a disc in, I can still play the game and I can also consistently own the game. Or as long as I don't connect to the internet and like let them patch my game so that I can't, so they can't like shut off the license, which is a thing that companies have done in the past. Technically speaking, you could play that game forever. You just,
Right.
obviously can't patch it and other things because you're not playing with a connection.
Absolutely. And that's just, again,
Right.
I find this trend, really, disheartening. And it's, it's, again, it's, you kind of, it's hard to like kind of, square the circle of, it's clear that a lot of, vocal members, at least of the community, don't like these things. They're critical of, games that require an online connection, yet you still have things here where you're showing, say, like that, where, Sony having that 66% is actually probably low for the industry. I've got other things here.
I
Like
also
Capcom
wonder.
has like 80% of its sales are digital.
So I wonder how much COVID has played a role in this, where like physical storefronts and stuff like that weren't really accessible for a while. So people had gotten used to either potentially ordering from those storefronts and getting it delivered. And at that point, you can just buy the digital game at the same time, and you can have it again, like you said, pre-downloaded and everything on day one instead of waiting for the physical storefront to send you the game physically. So I think that might have also played a part in the conversion, where it became more convenient on that front, where like you.
So here's my point about why I don't like digital only. It fucking eats up the space in your goddamn hard drive. Whereas like a physical game, you can remove the game data when you're done with it and still have the game and could play it later. Whereas if you've got a digital only one, you delete it, it's gone. And
Well,
there's like, you technically, like, yeah, maybe could like it has shows that you have that you've purchased it and like could maybe
so you still
reclaim
own
it
the license,
and
and then the other
re-download
thing
it.
would be if you have the cloud backup, you would be able to
It's like,
re-access the save from the cloud.
but again, it's like we've
future
talked
point,
about
but
why
that's handshakes.
but it's like why physical stuff is superior, because they can't come to your house and take that away. Like like where they could revoke your digital
I'm
license
just picturing
easily.
Mario kicking my door down
Well-
and just like pulling Switch games off my shelf.
Yeah. Also, you're forgetting when the Supreme Court bans violent video games because they cause mass shootings and they come take our games away.
Well,
That's
here's
gonna happen.
another one for you. The only way you can play Metal Gear Solid right now is if you own a physical copy of the PS game on that console, or if you own a physical copy of the Metal Gear Solid HD collection for PS Vita and you play it unpatched. Because everywhere else it's been license taken down because of licensing agreement issues with like historical footage that they use.
Right.
So you can't play those games right now, like at all, unless you have the physical copies on the specific consoles that can still support it.
I think that's a good.
Is that recent? Because those were on the
2021
PS Now
is when
service.
they shut off all of Metal Gear Solid 1 through 4.
Okay.
But this
Because they were on PS Now, and that was like the last like bastion storefront you could play them on before.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think any of these fears are unfounded. Even there are people like, well, actually, again, you still could re-download it and all that stuff. It's like you are still, purely at the whims of the people who hold the ownership of that IP. Because
Also,
go ahead.
related in this, one of the things the Switch does really well that I love about the Nintendo Switch is that the games are all on the cartridge. So when you put the cartridge in, the game doesn't have to download onto
No,
your
it's
Switch.
good. It's good right away.
You just throw it in and you're in.
And it's good to go.
Like that's something that no other console right now can do, or the PC even can't do that. I can't buy a game and be in on it in PC, and the moment I am good with it, plug it in, ready to go.
Yeah. But so I think this is a good transition to our next topic. That again, the digital only is not good. Is not good for us. You will always run into some, whether it's like what claim technical barrier, licensing agreement, shakeups, all that kind of stuff that will eventually erode your ownership of these games.
Well, like that's was it like Sonic 3 in the Sonic Origins collection? They had to get all new music because original Sonic 3 was what's the proper term? Conducted, orchestrated, mixed. One of those by Michael Jackson and the Jackson estate.
Said no. But yeah, so our next topic here is Ubisoft back at it again. It's a toss up from week to week who's the number one enemy here, but on the pod. But the big thing that I've seen from them was they're pulling
Dinkelberg energy.
Yeah, they're pulling online support for a number of older games. Not just eliminating multiplayer aspects, but also removing access to many DLCs.
All your purchases are ours.
Yeah, sorry. Money well spent, right? So let's see. We've got a bunch of the Assassin's Creed games: Assassin's Creed 2, 3, Brotherhood, Liberation HD, Far Cry 3, the last Prince of Persia game, the 2010 Forgotten Sands. And then, so those ones are, the online features, DLCs involved. You could still have base game access there, but then you got one that's like the most glaring to me. It's not a game that I played or had any anything invested in, but it's just like, again, speaks to these trends that are just really really disheartening. So we have the 2019 game Space Junkie. So a game that's like barely 3 years old. A jetpack centered VR arcade shooter game, completely 100% multiplayer only title. So getting rid of multiplayer access makes this game completely unplayable going forward. And this is of particular note because it's not only is it only 3 years old, it's still for sale on Steam with no indication that it's soon going to be unplayable. It's still being sold for $40. And in the next few months, going to be defunct.
That's awesome.
Do you really expect Ubisoft to put any sort of notice when they can get $40 for a game that they're not going to have to do anything with in a month?
Absolutely not, because they are fucking evil.
Yeah.
They're doing all this stuff to make way, make room, create resources for Skull and Bones. Now officially coming out November 8th, the day before God of War.
Congrats, guys! You did it.
As I hear Ubisoft hold this massive fucking L, like
we said it in the group chat. Imagine they were probably popping champagne, like we finally finished development hell, guys. Game is coming out. We got a date. Like all of you, like sacrificed your lives for this game. They're popping the champagne in the office, and all of a sudden the news comes up, and the newscast is, barely interested anchor across going, and Sony Santa Monica Studios has announced the release date for their upcoming sequel, God of War Ragnarok, November 9th, 2022. Oof. And they immediately took the bottle of champagne and flipped it over and hit the marketing intern in the back of the head with it.
Yeah.
So I have a theory that they did it on purpose, because then they can just say, it's not our fault it didn't sell. Well, God of War came out the next day.
Or they're going to use the Battlefield 2042 excuse.
Yeah, Halo beat us to it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Halo still doesn't have co-op campaign, by the way.
Yeah, I would put some weight. You're kind of joking, but like I think that's like that has some potential merit to it. It's like, because again, this is a game that has been like in development for since basically Assassin's Creed Black Flag came out.
It started as a Black Flag direct sequel.
Right. So it's gone through so many iterations, which, can't be good. It's like, oh yeah, it's a single player game. Oh, now it's a multiplayer game. Now it's a live service game. All this, it's like, it can't.
I'm just waiting for the final iteration to be a month before launch when they tell me it's actually a pachinko machine.
Yeah. It sucks because, again, I've said, like, again, I am actively rooting for Ubisoft's downfall. Yves Guillemot can ligma balls.
How can you say that to the man who sacrificed $330,000 for his personal bonus?
Just out of the sheer kindness of his heart. But man, it's just like, I think it's going to be a train wreck, which is unfortunate because I was actually looking forward to it. I was a big Black Flag fan. I played the shit out of that game. I think they're probably really mad that Sea of Thieves exists. Sure.
Sea of Thieves has cultivated over the years of its launch what Skull and Bones wishes it could be.
It's basically what it's trying to be now. So this thing had like an almost hour-long presentation, which I did not watch. I respect my time more than that. They had what I did watch was the 7+ minutes of gameplay, which is essentially shot for shot the exact stuff that was shown from that leak a few months ago. It's the same voiceover stuff. It's nothing new actually came from it. But it's being described as fully live service. And while you can play it solo, they were pretty heavy-handed in pushing that it's multiplayer first. And so
don't play alone. Make sure all your loser friends buy this game too, so that you can play it together.
But here are my thoughts. It's like, I'm actually cool with it not being a narrative-focused game. I think in terms of, it's like if you're actually trying to get, the feel of a pirate type stuff, that's, what pirates did is, went out and fucking did some pirating, like went out and you would have a good amount of time where you're just kind of stuck on a boat, like getting scurvy, and then you finally come across a merchant marine vessel that has you can restock your
you're missing you're missing a very important section of there where they get scurvy and their brains go rotten and they start fucking dolphins and thinking they're fucking mermaids and shit.
Yeah. I've had that's a quick tangent though. That half of like mythological creatures are just because it's like people seeing like animals at a time before eyeglasses were a thing.
Yeah.
Because you're just squinting out and you see like that seal looks like a pretty lady.
Some interesting implications.
But the live service aspect, is just going to mean pushing some really shitty monetization strategies. So that does not bode well for me. That's like I'm cool with the multiplayer aspect. I'm cool with it not.
There's nothing that gets
driven.
my excitement to meter quicker than telling me live service.
Right. Same. And it's just like okay, it's just gonna be because it's like those games just become like a job. It's literally like you have to play. You've got to keep up with the season, or else you next time you log in, your ship is so far outclassed by everything. You like, you're so happy, you're chipper, you're behind the wheel singing a sea shanty, go out and you just get fucking blasted by this fucking schooner that's just got like plates of fucking armor and mortar cannons and rockets and all this shit, and you're just because they they paid for the battle pass and you didn't.
They played for the super ultra deluxe scurvy edition that came with a real pirate peg leg.
I mean, that's totally why I stopped playing Destiny.
I've heard that the latest Destiny, what is it called? Something of the witch or witch queen, something.
The witch queen.
It's supposed to be pretty cool. Witch queen. I've heard it's supposed to be pretty good. I've heard it got
great reviews.
The Destiny expansions have gotten better with each one. It's like I remember when Destiny was just like a game you could buy and not a live service game. It was like the big, like you could buy like a
Mhm.
really cool PS4 special edition with it. It was like all white, looked sick, all white everything. Um, not for, yeah, no, scratch that. Off the record. Yeah, exactly. Now I'm just
Well,
brain zucked, but obviously Destiny's cool now because Sony bought Bungie, so now Destiny can be cool again, right? That's the thing that everyone gets all pissy about. It's like when Sony does it, it's cool, but when Microsoft does it, it's bad.
they know just Bungie still seems to be acting like an actually somewhat decent place to work. I mean, again,
In
I'm of
good
a
faith.
I'm
Well, yeah,
of
they left Microsoft for a reason.
yeah. I mean, again, I still am always skeptical of all that shit's mostly performative. Good for their share prices, but yeah. So Ubisoft, however, is not the only place, the only publisher or platform that's pulling support for older games, though. It's just the online model is just it's like forget about your past or kill the past. It's all about we're all forward thinking here. It's all about the
I
cloud
mean, like
gaming and
the Game Pass model supports this really well because it makes it really easy to take games away from people.
Yeah, kill the past so we can remake it and sell it to you a second time and then maybe a third.
yeah,
AJ
which is
Abrams, is that you?
so. But that's exactly what Rockstar is doing here. They're pulling support and developer attention away from Red Dead Online, effectively killing it. It's been a slow death. I would, if I was an actual active player on there, I would have been like, okay, at least like they finally, they
At
put
least
us
they're
out,
acknowledging it.
they put it out of our misery. It's like stop stringing us along with all this shit. But according to Rockstar, Red Dead, or improvements to Red Dead Online will solely be enhancing existing modes rather than adding any more new modes or other major updates. And they are, they're just putting all their attention into, the next GTA, which has got to be good because of the backlash that they've had with their recent remasters. The trilogy being the most obvious and glaring one, and they know GTA is the money machine. That and they can't afford to fuck it up. And it's just again, it's got to be going forward. Yeah,
GTA 6 is going to start with you waking up on the Skyrim cart, driving through Vice City.
Yeah, this is a trend here though. It's just like that these, because they even online communities aren't safe. The say Xbox is ceasing to add any new quote unquote
Yeah.
to new Xbox 360 titles to its Games with Gold service, and that will be stopping in October of this year. And Mac, I think we were briefly talking about this before we started recording. Can you explain to us their reasoning? Because they're saying this is apparently because Microsoft has reached the limit of Xbox 360 games it can place on the catalog.
So they've been doing it for a while where back in the Xbox One generation, they made the stance on, okay, PS4 is clearly running away with this. We're going to just be backwards compatible. We're going to keep bringing all these classic Xbox and Xbox 360 games to the Xbox One generation so that you can still play them, on your new console. That was their big push. And the whole thing with that was like basically monthly, bi-monthly. Like in the beginning, wasn't as regular. They would add a couple Xbox 360 games to the Games with Gold lineup, and then you could just buy them through their live store, whatever the fuck it's called. And they were bringing them forward in little chunks, and they were basically making it so that you could still play it, make sure that it was still something that the hardware could handle, and like control schemes would map over, and things like that. And what they're saying is they've officially hit the point where the games that are left, they just don't care about bringing over because they're probably not, I'd probably just piss someone off who's like, I didn't get my favorite game from the Xbox 360 era. I'm not even going to make up a crazy game name because I couldn't even begin to think of some of those. but they've probably just reached the point where it's not worth the money anymore to keep bringing them forward. Because I think they finished the original Xbox catalog before too, and like that was a couple years ago. They said they were done with that and they were moving on to the 360 as the primary focus for backwards forward.
Well, like they made it seem as like, oh no, we ran out of space. Like
sorry,
No,
hard
do you
drive
know
is
what they
full.
ran out of? They
Sorry,
ran out
hard
of
drive-
money for it.
Yeah. That's the space they ran out of.
Yeah.
Like the budget space.
Yeah.
It's just
I think that's the real space.
Yeah, completely misleading explanation there.
No,
But like
the idea of Microsoft just being like, we don't have the data room is just like,
we don't have the server space, saw we?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's more along the lines of I think they just don't want to continue to put the effort in to those games anymore. I think they've picked through the ones that they think are worth it to have be available and like bring them forward, because their whole thing is like if you're playing your Xbox 360 or your Xbox original games on the Series X, they'll like upscale to 4K, stuff like that. So it's supposed to be a decent amount of little effort to make sure that they like up-res properly. But no, this is just they're I mean, games with gold they're probably going to kill that too at some point.
Yeah.
Because again, they just want Game Pass to be the only thing you go after.
So this is a feature that is a part of Game Pass Ultimate. That is
yes,
the thing.
Because that's the service you pay for to have like games with gold comes with live, and that's the service you pay for online play on Xbox. So it's the equivalent of the PS Plus basic tier, where you have the live internet connection with your friends, and then you get the PS Plus basic games monthly that you can pick from.
Yeah, it's just again these companies have no incentive to again maintain the history of their IP is the onus of games preservation is like purely on falls purely to the consumer.
It's on Matt. It's on Matt.
It's on Matt. Yeah. Or you get you've got like the very very few nonprofit organizations, some libraries have decent efforts, but again those are nonprofit public institutions that are again solely reliant upon the discretion of individual funders and the largesse of a one or two maybe big name contributors, and it's their resources are limited, and these are like, we won't get into the debate of are these games art or aren't they, and let's be real, probably some early Xbox games are not art. But
dude,
like,
what do you mean that Conker's Bad Fur Day is not art? There's a poop boss in that game.
Damn. Put that shit in the MoMA. But it's like we lose a lot. We're losing a lot more than we're getting. More than what's coming across. So it's sad to see. You hate to see it, but it's going to be more and more of the reality. It's gotta just gotta keep looking forward to those blockchain games. That's where it's going to be. You're not going to have any time to think about anything else.
And for our future listeners listening after society collapses, hiding in their bunkers, we'll put the emergency coordinates for my Doomsday Bunker game vault. That like the vault in the South Pole where they have all the different plant species.
The seed bank. Yeah. Amazing.
I'll have the game vault.
Like we were talking about that on stream last night. It's like, it's like he's gonna just be holding up his 10 terabyte hard drive, just dispensing the goodies to everybody in the post-apocalypse.
I'll just end up running a server farm that people can play them off of. Become a server baron.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, if we gain the capital resources, we can start the Preservation of Game Society, called POGS for short.
Man, where do I sign up?
Not my favorite type of pogs. Sad face. Anyways.
All right. I don't really have a good transition for this one, but things are just continuing.
Still going on over there.
Yeah, things are, speaking of things, I guess things continuing but not getting any better.
Yeah, there we go.
Welcome to my favorite portion of the podcast.
Yeah, so the war in Ukraine is still going hot. Thank you, President Brandon and outgoing Prime Minister Big Boy Boris for just doing everything they can to keep that shit going.
Them's the breaks.
Yeah, right. But so not only is the conflict keep going, but the boycott of Russia from the games industry continues. But there's just been a few kind of funny little bits to it. You got to find the glimmers of humor in this, where you can. So there was in the recent shareholders meeting, Nintendo made some kind of I think it was a bit of a fuck up to state it this way, but like, so they're continuing to hold the Russian eShop in maintenance mode, which effectively makes it inoperable. They're not shipping any physical media, but then they admitted that it has had no impact on their bottom line. I've got a quote here from Satoru Shibata, one of the Nintendo directors. Says, regarding business in the Russia region, we are giving serious thought to how to handle this going forward in light of changing world affairs. In Europe, as in other regions, Nintendo Switch sales continue to be steady, even entering its 6th year, and interest from consumers is high. While changes in the environment, like the situation in Ukraine and global inflation, do exist, these factors have not greatly affected the progress of the Nintendo Switch business model in Europe. So the line negligible effect, I think, goes both ways here. It's like, not only is it having zero impact on their on their sales, it's having zero impact on say Russian efforts to
everyone knows if you want
conflict.
to impact Russian gamers, you have to cut off CS:GO.
I mean, I was gonna say that when Nintendo announced they were putting their game shop into maintenance mode, I thought Putin would end it right then and there. Like, I can't believe he didn't just end the war.
So, do you think Putin was trying to get into the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Special Edition line?
Definitely.
Dude probably had several aides assassinated because he couldn't get his copy. But dude, I just think it's so funny. I just think it's so funny that it's just like, yeah, we're admitting this was completely performative and has no actual tangible impact on the real world. That these boycotts are meaningless. It's all PR. If anything, it's probably just gotten them more money in terms of again, it's positive PR. We're not being apologists for Russia here by any means, but it's just by taking this stance, it's
don't you understand, the world is black and white, and if you say something that doesn't 100% go one way or the other, you're clearly for my enemy. And if you're my enemy, then I have to kill you.
I know who is my enemy. Blizzard is the next one.
Hell yeah,
is the next one involved in this. They've blocked Russia and Belarus from accessing Diablo Immortal. Again,
no,
has had no fucking impact.
Protecting those people.
Yeah, but like, it still has had no fucking impact. The game has raked it. Please, when? The game has still raked in $49 million in its first month.
In a month.
Who is this hurting? It's like, who is this meant to, like, what is this meant to do?
Like, I know it isn't a huge portion of it, but like the videos of people like, I spent $50,000 in Diablo, so you don't have to. It's like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter because I get the money back from the video. So like, I go net even, like whatever, but like, money still counts. That is real money.
I just want to say thank you for your service to the executives at Blizzard and Nintendo for making this sacrifice.
Right. Standing up for human rights, definitely. Man, but it sucks. But yeah, speaking of enemy Blizzard,
$49 million in a month. That's so much.
And it's just going to increase because it's now now available in Asia. And they love them, their mobile games.
Pre-Asia.
I mean, the thing that Diablo Immortal has going for it is it's so readily available and free that you just basically like spam the market and hope like hope you hook a whale every now and then, because
Which
like
they
you don't
will.
really care
That's just
about.
that's how it works.
Yeah, you don't really care about
It's
little
a
Timmy
gamble. It's the same
buying
as
two
a
skins.
gambling business model.
Speaking of gambling, here's a word from our sponsor, Sports Gambling.
But yeah, what are our thoughts on Blizzard announcing that BlizzCon is coming back in 2023?
5 years ago, I would have been so pumped because I used to want to go to BlizzCon at some point.
Man, like thank God you're reformed.
I
I don't know what you would be doing now if you hadn't gotten banned from Overwatch.
I mean, the honest truth is I probably still would have dropped it at some point. When they went on their like 4-year hiatus of updating the game, that probably would have killed it for me. But yeah, no, BlizzCon coming back, like, cool. Here's like the world's smallest firework parade firing out of my finger right now. Like, good job, Blizzard. Like, really telling us the truth of what we want from you, not like, you know, I'd actually respect them if they went out at on the BlizzCon stage and were like, "We're sorry, like we're trying to be better. Like, here are the steps we're following. Like, here are the programs we're instituting to help our employees." But like,
I mean,
it's going to be Diablo Immortal 2.
Yeah, I mean, BlizzCon just has such a storied history of just promoting the absolute worst impulses of Blizzard and its leaders. Like, we've never really actually discussed it in depth on the podcast before, but let's not forget that BlizzCon is where the infamous Cosby suite comes from. The bit that was cited in the first lawsuit from the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing lawsuit. But yeah, just for those who may not know, the Cosby Suite was a nickname for the hotel room of longtime World of Warcraft developer and eventual project lead on several of the expansions, Alex Afrazabi. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but this guy was the only person besides Blizzard president J. Allen Brack who is outright named in that lawsuit. This guy, I mean, is definitely one that who Blizzard has parted ways with, but again, I don't think we can get away from the taint that has been left upon things like that, and I don't know how they can go forward with these these things with just sweeping that under the rug, let's say.
They're gonna do a land acknowledgement in the suite to make sure everyone knows that they are sorry for their crimes.
Yeah, we're acknowledging that this is the place where this guy Afrazavi would hit on female employees, tell them he wanted to marry them, attempt to kiss them, grope them, all in plain views of other employees. And this was not only was this a place where male employees were actively harassing female employees, but it was named the Cosby Suite because they had this big picture of convicted rapist Bill Cosby in there, and that they would be like actively they knew what they were doing. It was like that was part of the joke. But it was, it wasn't just like, a place for them to, again, to harass people. It was, this booze-filled meeting place where, it was essentially an informal networking thing. So it was like something, again, it's like the structures that Blizzard had in place for how they do business is fundamentally tied up to things like BlizzCon. And I don't see why. I mean, if I were, again, in their PR office, I'd be like, no, just cancel it. You're like, again, put it in the past, put it behind you, and move on. Like, You're only going to keep reminding people of this. Like, I mean, again, which is good for us. That's what we're going to keep doing. We're not going to let them, kind of get away with that and let them just forget about people. Just forget about it.
So gross to think about, like, being compared to a rapist and making a joke out of that. Like
thinking that was cool. Thinking that was cool.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Bill Cosby was great. Puddin' Pops, right?
Like, what the fuck? God damn, these people are deranged.
Absolutely. Some real sicko behavior. And, again, Blizzard is one of the places that, they're not a real game studio anymore. We're not convinced that any of the games that they're putting out are real. or not, yeah, not just vaporware, and further just infrastructure just for serial harassers, just for them to have a place to go. But yeah, I will be checking the will not be attending box.
However, we will be checking the attending box to Nintendo World.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know.
for sure.
Yeah, Matt is going to force us there.
I don't care if I have to go by myself with just
against
the
our
most
will.
obnoxious live blogging rig on my life.
Absolutely. All right. So last thing I have here was just an interesting little bit here. I want to get your thoughts. I want to get your thoughts on it. So we've got some more news coming out of Square Enix. Not necessarily bad stuff that we've been talking about, but it's just interesting the dynamic at play here for me is they've announced what they're calling a strategic delay of upcoming action RPG Forspoken, delaying it again from what was October to now January 24th of next year, 2023, which I think is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm always
No, I
for
think what they
these
did was
games.
they looked at the release schedule of what was coming up. I'm not going to say Ragnarok coming out influenced their decision entirely, but I'm going to say that I think they looked at what was on the docket for what was in the area of what was going on. And like, hey, like we could like spend an extra couple months to like polish on this game and release it in January because we still have like Dio Field Chronicles, Elysium Project.
That's the next one. That's the next one. But do you remember when in October it had been set for? Was it late October?
October 27th.
Okay, so that makes more sense to me. Like, because again, it's like you're getting into more crowded territory. If it had been early October, I think they would have been okay. They could have been okay. Like have a full, because October is looking a little bit bare.
However, being basically a week before God of War for your brand new IP,
if it's late October, that's even if that wasn't the bit behind it, that's just kind of that works out for them. That's good.
Because like the wording of how they said it made me think there was definitely some like discussion back and forth of like, hey, we can like move this game out of this release window because like we have a lot of stuff going on.
And sure, I'm all for supporting again in trying to get the best response.
And again, I think Forspoken looks cool. So like if they want to give it a little more time to polish, because they said it's done. Like they said like the game and stuff is done. It's just polished now.
Yeah, I thought this one looked cool too. I've been excited for this.
It's one that's on my list. I'm excited for like the spells combat and
traversal
and traversal all looks cool. Some of the face
new IP too
look a little weird to me, but yeah, like we said, like we're not getting any new IPs, so let's do everything we can to support. So I'm not critical of that at all. But then you mentioned one of these then. So they've delayed Forspoken, which looks cool, but they're plugging on ahead with the very, very bland looking Valkyrie Elysium, which also got a release date for September 29th, coming to PS4 and PS5, and then November 11th for PC on Steam. So that is going to come up with around God of War. But yeah, that's a completely different ecosystem. But man, that game looks so fucking boring.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just looks like a very generic.
It looks gray. Everything is gray.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting style choice for what they're going for.
Interesting it's a way to call that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to be like it's a game that it all depends on price for me, honestly.
Matt's gonna play it.
Like I'll probably end up playing it at some point. Like I've played other JRPGs that fall into this like category of like not day one purchase, definitely buy on sale. But like if you look at it through the lens of like I'm not trying to make this some like grand epic adventure, I can enjoy games like that. I watched the gameplay trailer a couple times. The combat looks very generic, but like I could get into it. I could see like the characters were a little bit like plain. They're like the voice acting wasn't super like if you're gonna give me bad voice acting, if I'm gonna be mean about it, make it campy like Strangers of Paradise. Give me that like bullshit. I'm here to kill chaos.
Don't disparage my boy.
Have you played any of these games, Matt? I know it's a series.
I've never played anything in the series. So again, the first game or like the game previous to this one is coming out as well on the PS Plus like
Mm.
extra tier, I think it
Yeah, yeah,
was.
there was something. Yeah, there was something about that. That was another news item of the week.
And it's like I might try that first before like spending real money on this. It's very generic. I'll just continue to say that. Like again, I'll probably buy it at some point and play it.
Yeah, it's such a weird one for me. Matt and I were talking about it earlier in the week. How like, and you mentioned it in this one in the same breath as Diofield
Field.
Chronicle, which both of these were announced at the same time. That was
Yes.
earlier in the year, and
Nintendo event, I
yeah, and
believe.
both of them was that the March one.
Yeah,
But
I
like
think so.
both of them when they showed them to me, like at that point, I had the same opinion of both of them. They looked very bland. They looked very, uninspired. You know,
Field did a lot to help itself
yeah,
with its most recent trailer.
they've released new stuff for both of them, and for what I've seen of Diofield has really upped my interest. It looks a lot more colorful. The combat looks interesting. It's like a kind of this interesting blend between turn-based and action combat. That is something that is a trend that I'm seeing that is interesting me. But yeah, the story looks more interesting than was initially shown. But man, this game, Valkyrie just looks empty. It looks gray. It looks
I
bland.
think
It
the
looks
interesting thing about it to
boring.
me is like Square is releasing a lot of games.
Yeah, they are.
Because like we got Strangers earlier this year. Technically, Forspoken has been pushed to January, but they said that is essentially done. We got Field. We had Triangle Strategy. We have Elysium. We've got Crisis Core. I think Crisis Core has a lot to do with Forspoken getting pushed. I
Mm.
think Crisis Core is probably more towards the March end of winter this winter, because that was the release window they gave. And I think they wanted Forspoken to help bridge that gap a little bit and not have, end of uh, October to March be a dead zone of no releases for them. So like
Speaking
that's
of,
my
speaking
like
of
read between the lines thing.
speaking of Crisis Core, I sent this morning. I'm not sure if you saw it, Matt, but
I've seen a lot of stuff about it.
but they're talking about how, like, what do you make of like they're steering a little bit away from the major kind of story changes that they made to the Final Fantasy VII remake and keeping more true to the original
I have
game
a
for Crisis
theory
Core.
about it. And my theory about it is that they're releasing Crisis Core, because Final Fantasy VII is so hot right now, as they would say in Zoolander. But what they're doing is they're releasing, because Crisis Core is a prequel to Final Fantasy VII. So what I think they're doing is they're sticking the regular Crisis Core story in there so that when you play Rebirth in the following winter release window that they gave for Rebirth coming out, they can do the twist that they've been doing with Final Fantasy VII, where they twist the ending of Crisis Core, because obviously there's already been reveal from Intergrade that negates some of Crisis Core originally. So I think that's what they're doing. I think they're showing people who haven't played the game, like, hey, this is the story, so that when you play the next one and we get you hooked on the series, like all of a sudden you like, oh, whoa, I wasn't expecting that.
That could make sense. It's too deep into Final Fantasy lore for me to
Yeah,
understand.
I own the
Intergrade.
Intergrade on for PS5, but I have not played it yet. It's fun. I need to.
It's
There's so many
a
games
fun game.
I need to get through. Like there's a lot of things that I
It's
really
not
want to
super
get
long either, as far as like you could that's definitely a 30 to 40 hour game that can be completed.
to. Okay. I Well, that's it's definitely gonna be up. I gotta
Because it's not open
bring
world,
it I
mind
gotta
you. It's
bring it up
chapter
further.
based levels.
Yeah, I gotta bring it up
Mm.
further in my list. Gotta bump it up. Yeah. Anything else that I might have missed? Anything else you guys wanted to talk about today?
No, I think we've covered it all, especially now that we have Uncut Comrades going on Fridays. I might, for the YouTube upload, change it to Friday night uncut. Haven't decided. And then Campaign Comrades podcast, like as the like line Campaign Comrades podcast like
Sure.
thing.
We can play with that around a little bit. But yeah, so say last thing before we do plugs is we stand with Kojima-san. Don't let the
absolutely.
the slander get to him.
That shit's wild to me that
It
like an internet troll being like, oh, he looks like Kojima, can eventually like roll to the point of like people legitimately thinking that Hideo
Kojima assassinated the former prime minister of Japan. Like, wild stuff. We know he's anti-government, but like, I think that like that would kind of get in the way of a lot of his creative vision.
Yeah,
going to jail for the rest of his life, I think would kind of.
I mean, Japan has a pretty strong internet defamation law that they just passed because I'm gonna get this wrong, I believe, but it was like some Japanese idol, because like idol culture out there, was like harassed online and killed herself, and this like was the catalyst for them starting a new law that punishes people for online, essentially slander, bullying, stuff like that.
All right. Well, so Matt has mentioned it a couple times. I think we talked about it, that it was going to be a possibility last week, but we did our first attempt at our all the stuff that had to be cut from our mainline episodes here, because we don't like to push the length of these episodes longer than they have to be. We try to keep them pretty concise and unified in theme, but there's so much stuff that's worthy of discussion and that fits within our channel here. So we've moved that over to our Friday night Twitch stream. So if you enjoy the podcast here, be sure to come and check out our Friday night live streams where you can come interact in the chat and be part of the conversation. We stream at campaign_comrades. We also are still doing our individual streams. I know I had a nice evening playing a few nice games of Gwent. That was fun. I think Matt's getting ready to do his some major runs through Strangers of Paradise this weekend. And understandably, say Andrew's been under the weather, and again we sent him that spirit energy to get him back at it. And that's the major plug. Other thing is I am doing some podcasting, streaming with my D&D players. You can find us on Twitch at Blind Jacob. Come check us out. We've got one of those in the tank already. Those have been fun. Just kind of free flowing conversation. Just kind of pop culture in general. Often D&D focused. That's kind of our main jumping off point. But we talked about a bunch of stuff last time. But come check us out. Anything you guys got?
Well, I think you nailed it all from my perspective.
Yeah.
Oh, and so as we were talking about, find our YouTube channel, Campaign Comrades on YouTube, where we're going to be posting VODs of this stuff, and we're going to be doing better about putting up VODs of our individual streams as well.
Yeah, I kind of realized last night that individuals don't have to download their VODs when they're done. I can just do it because I have access to the Twitch channel.
The channel, right. But yeah.
So it can be something that I just
Matt has to take on shoulder that responsibility because he has the best internet connection.
And the strongest computer.
Yeah. So we salute him for his service. And
thank you, sir.
Yeah, we will see you next time.
Absolutely.
Bye.